Hi! Today on Araw-Araw Filipino, we will learn to talk about your reactions in the Filipino language. Let us start by learning new words for reaction or reaksyon. These are laugh, tawa, smile, ngiti, wonder, taka, surprise, gulat, shock, bigla. Again, laugh, tawa, smile, ngiti, wonder, taka, surprise, gulat, shock, bigla. These are only root words or salitang ugat. To talk about how you reacted to people or events, here are the words we can derive from the root words. If you laughed, the word to use is natawa or napatawa. Smiled, nangiti, napangiti. Wondered, nagtaka. Surprised, nagulat. Shocked, nabigla. Again, if you laughed, natawa, napatawa. You smiled, nangiti, napangiti. Wondered, nagtaka. Surprised, nagulat. Shocked, nabigla. In Filipino, we use the following prefixes plus the root word to make the word for the reaction. In all the examples we will use today, the reactions are in the past tense. We use na as the prefix most of the time, but we also use na pa to say that we unexpectedly reacted a certain way, and sometimes we also use nag. Now let us look at examples of how to talk about your reactions in Filipino. Let us start with a question. What was your reaction? Ano ang reaksyon mo? What? Ano? Your is mo, and reaction is reaksyon. Ang is only a connector. Here is one example answer. I laughed. Natawa ako. Ako. Here's the next one. I smiled. Nangiti ako. I was surprised. Nagulat ako. So you have just learned the simplest way to express how you reacted. Let us expand the sentences to give it more meaning. I laughed when he made a joke. Natawa ako nung nagbiro siya. When is nung. He, siya. Made a joke is nagbiro. The next one, I smiled when I saw her. Nangiti ako nung nakita ko siya. I is ko, saw, nakita, her is siya. A few lessons ago, we learned that we do not have gender-based pronouns in Filipino. So the word he and her are both siya in Filipino. Third example, I was surprised when it happened. Ito. Happened, nangyari. Let us look at the sentences again. The pattern here is that we started the sentences with the word for the reaction, and we used the word nung to say when the reaction was triggered. Let us look at another set of examples. Here is a question. How did you react? Paano ka nag-react? Paano? How? Did react, nag-react, and you is ka. In everyday Filipino, it is perfectly fine to mix English words with Filipino. In this case, we used nag-react, which is what we will commonly use anyway. Here are some answers. I was shocked. Nabigla ako. I wondered. Nagtaka ako. I laughed. Natawa ako. Now let us expand the sentences. I was shocked at his attitude. Nabigla ako sa ugali niya. At, sa. His, niya. Attitude, ugali. Next one. I wondered at his change. Nagtaka ako sa pagbabago niya. Change, pagbabago. And the last one, I laughed at his entrance. Natawa ako sa pagpasok niya. Entrance, pagpasok. Let us look at the sentences again. The pattern here is that we started the sentences again with the word for the reaction, and we used the word sa to say what the reaction was directed at. Here are some more new words for reaction or reaksyon. Dismay, dismaya. Panic or rattle, taranta. Sob, hikbi. Cry, iyak. Weep, hagulgol. Again, dismay, dismaya. Panic or rattle, taranta. Sob, hikbi. Cry, iyak. Weep, hagulhol. Here are the words we can derive from these root words. If you were dismayed, the word to use is nadismaya. Panicked or rattled, nataranta. Sobbed, napahikbi. Cried, naiyak or napaiyak. If you wept, napahagulgol. Again, if you are dismayed, nadismaya. Panicked or rattled, nataranta. Sobbed, napahikbi. Cried, naiyak or napaiyak. And wept, napahagulgol. Let us look at some examples. I was dismayed. Nadismaya ako. I panicked. Nataranta ako. I cried. Naiyak ako. Let us expand the sentences. I was dismayed for the loss of the team. Nadismaya ako sa pagkatalo ng team. For the, sa. Loss, pagkatalo. Of the, ng. We use the English word team even in the Filipino version because that is what we will use in everyday Filipino. Next sentence. I panicked with the arrival of people. Nataranta ako sa pagdating ng mga tao. With the, sa. Arrival, pagdating. Of, ng. People, mga tao. Next one. I cried at the end of the movie. Naiyak ako sa huli ng pelikula. At the, isa, and, huli, movie, pelikula. Let us look at the sentences again. The pattern here is that we started the sentences with the word for the reaction, and we used sa to say what the reaction was for, or with, or what it was directed at. You see, the word sa is another Filipino word with many meanings. Last, we have also used the word ng to say of or of the. Here are some more new words for reaction or reaksyon. Stun, tulala. Speechless, pipi. Confused, lito. Nervous, nervyos. Shout, sigaw. Shriek or squeal, tili. Again, stun, tulala. Speechless, pipi. Confused, lito. Nervous, nervyos. Shout, sigaw. Shriek or squeal, tili. Here are the words we can derive out of these root words. If you were stunned, natulala. Speechless, napipi. Confused, nalito. Nervous, ninervyos. Shouted, napasigaw. Shrieked or squealed, napatili. Again, if you were stunned, natulala. You were speechless, napipi. You were confused, nalito. You were nervous, ninervyos. Shouted, napasigaw. Shrieked or squealed, napatili. Note that we used ni as a prefix to nervyos. We say ninervyos instead of nanervyos. Both are correct, but it is more common to hear Filipinos say ni nervyos. Here are some examples. I was stunned, natulala ako. I was speechless, napipi ako. I was confused, nalito ako. Let us expand the sentences. I was stunned at her beauty. Natulala ako sa ganda niya. At, sa. Her, niya. Beauty, ganda. Next one. I was speechless when I met her. Napipi ako nung nakilala ko siya. When is nung, I is ko, met, nakilala, her, siya. I was confused with what I'll say. Nalito ako sa anong sasabihin ko. With, sa. What, anong? I'll say, sasabihin ko. Here are some more examples. I was nervous, ninervyos ako. I shouted, napasigaw ako. I shrieked, napatili ako. Let us expand the sentences. I was nervous about the earthquake. Ninervyos ako tungkol sa lindol. About the, tungkol sa, earthquake, lindol. I shouted when the floor shook. Napasigaw ako nung umuga ang sahig. When, nung, the, ang, floor, sahig, and shook, umuga. I shrieked in fear. Napatili ako sa takot. In is also sa, fear is takot. So that's our lesson for today. As your homework, write down how you reacted to recent events in Filipino. Read it out loud to yourself to practice those Filipino-speaking vocal muscles. And practice talking about your reactions using Filipino with others. I hope you can join us again next time on Araw-Araw Filipino. Thank you. Salamat po. Now, a few words from my son, Max.
Thought this video was cool? Watch the next one and like and subscribe to the channel too if you haven't yet.
Bye-bye!
Bye!